Hello and welcome to Bright Ideas with me, Anita Rani, a podcast brought to you by EE. Now, we're told that we need to go out there and live our best life, but what do we really mean by that? Well, in this podcast, I'm going to sit down with well-known names to discover the tech hacks, apps and advice they use to create a smarter, happier and more connected life, and focusing on 4 key areas that together make up a more fulfilled way of living. That's home life, career, your appetite to learn new things, and how you unwind and have fun. Each conversation is packed with advice we can all use to help improve our own lives. Today's guests are a wonderful mother and daughter duo who've been captivating us on our screens for years. One is a top TV chef. The other first made her mark as the charismatic presenter of TV4 and Pop World when she was still just a teenager. But recently, they've been winning over audiences with their podcast, Stirring It Up, and Miss Me with Lily Allen. So please welcome, who else could it be? The fabulous Miquita and Andi Oliver. So good to have the two of you in front of me.
Oh, so good to be here. We love you.
Thank you.
I love the two of you.
Yeah, they were like, do you want to do something with Anita Rani? We were like, absolutely.
Yeah, this is good.
Sure.
I basically want to mine you both for all your tips and your hacks and all of it to just help bring a bit more brightness and joy into everyone's lives, because I feel like you've got an abundance of it between you.
We work at it.
Yeah.
We work at it. We step towards the light. You know, it's like every day is a decision, isn't it? Every moment is a choice that you make, whether you're going to step towards the kind, light place or the dark,
This is what she says to me
places.
all the time. When I'm in the worst place, this is what she'll do.
Yeah.
Well, it's a choice, isn't it? And I'm like, oh.
Miquita, I was just going to say to you, I feel like I'm getting an insight into your life now.
You said something the other day, actually, that I thought it really made me realise that I get into something and I'm like, I worry, I panic. And my mum's like, just don't even go there. We don't have time. And I'm always like, why don't you ever go there? And she said something the other day where she was like, I didn't have an option to. If I panicked as a single parent with no money, we're
Doomed.
We're doomed.
I didn't have time. I didn't have the space, really.
The privilege.
Yes, quite.
Yeah. I didn't have time to unravel. I had stuff to. I had to feed you. I had to make some money. I had to keep the roof over our heads, keep the electricity on, get some food in the fridge, you know, and work out what was happening the next day. I didn't really have much time to unravel, although I did have one very big unraveling, didn't I?
Yeah, but that's what always happens, isn't it?
Yeah.
When was that?
Oh, when I was 30, I had a full, complete, total nervous breakdown or nervous breakthrough. That's what they call it sometimes.
How old were you when that happened, Miquita?
I guess if mum was 30, I was probably
10.
like 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was 10.
Luckily, our age gap doesn't make us have to do maths.
Any
too
maths.
often.
It's like, even I could do that maths.
You
I
were
was
20 when you had to.
I was 20 when I had it, when I was 30.
That's so young.
It is still really young. When you hit 20 and when all her cousins stuff hit 20, I was like, oh my God, I had a baby? What was I thinking?
I love it, though. It means that you've got a nice relationship. My dad was 20 when he had me.
Oh.
So, yeah, there's only 20 years between us. So, again, we never forget.
It's I mean, there are definite upsides to it, and there are definite things that I sort of missed, I guess, because I had a child already. Like somebody said to me once, oh, you know that time in your 20s when you've got no responsibilities and, you know, you can just do whatever you want. I was like, no. If you have a child when you're really young, you've got loads of energy. You know, you only need about 20 minutes sleep anyway. Do you know what I mean? Lots of my friends who had kids later, they were like, oh, I'm so tired. I'm like, oh my God, just get on with it.
Yeah.
Shut the baby on and get on with it.
My mum's energy for most things, just shut up and get on with it.
Well, it's beautiful, though.
It's very good. It's really helpful.
Is that my thing for most things?
Yeah, just like buck up and get on with it, because I think, and you know, Anita was just saying, like, there's so much abundance in our lives right now. There really is. We are having this beautiful moment together, and that feels really great. But it's like, as my mum said, we've been choosing to fight, to keep going, to continue to have fortitude.
Right.
And to step towards the light.
And step towards the light, yeah.
So much to get into.
Yeah.
I want to talk about resilience. I'm going to talk about all of it. And we're going to go through it in different sections, looking at home and work and play and how you game, all of it.
Fun.
But let's start with, because it is about happiness and it's about bringing joy to people's lives. On a scale of 1 to 5, today, right now, how happy are you?
1 to 5? I'm like 4.5. I'm pretty good.
Yeah, I'm 4.
What about that extra half?
I know. I was
Does
like,
mum always have the extra half?
Because 5 would be completely ecstatic. And
I'm not totally ecstatic.
No, I'm like 4, and mum is 4.5.
Do you know why? Because I survived training. I went back to trading instead. I haven't been trading since, before.
Good woman.
For the last 2 months or something, because it's just, Christmas
and like the holidays.
I was away, and then I went away again, and then I just came back, and I just like, okay, I need to get back to my trade. I've just started working with a personal trainer, and I love it. I love exercise. I love what it brings to not just my body, but my spirit.
Yeah.
No. Tell me. Let's
sure
go
this
for
doesn't
it.
come up in a health question
It's
later?
going to come up in a play question, but don't worry. We can talk about it any which way we want.
God, you're so
Because we will not shut up.
No, it's good. I don't want you to shut up. It's a podcast. We need you to keep talking.
That's true.
All right, I've got some quick fire questions for you. Here we go. Happiness means something different. So everybody, what does it mean for you, Miquita?
Oh, God. No, this is important.
Yeah.
Curiosity. Continued curiosity.
Love that.
New challenges all the time. I love that. I like to feel excited.
Yeah.
And challenged.
I love that you love that.
It's like, come on now.
Yes, this is what I mean.
Constant,
Let's not just tread water. What's new?
No,
Let's do something
Mum's
new.
very nexty.
Next.
Inspiring. We like that. How important is your relationship to your happiness, the two of you together?
Massively.
And the joy, because you seem to make each other laugh.
It's essential. We have such a laugh. Do you remember that day when I'd been shooting that thing and me and you just literally sat at the kitchen table?
Oh, yeah.
Because there was this sound man really getting on my nerves.
Don't tell the story.
I'm not going to tell the story.
Okay.
Somebody on the shoot
No, whatever. We just thought it
driving
was
me a bit
funny.
crazy, and we thought it was really funny. And we sort of drank a bottle of wine and just cracked up. And she was on her way home, and I texted her going, "You make me laugh more than anybody in the world." She was like, "That's what I was just thinking."
That's true, actually. I think that's what happens when you have something as small as a 20-year age gap and you're just you two in a team for a long time. Yeah. I suppose we had to laugh, otherwise we'd cry sometimes.
I mean, we just used to laugh. We just used to have a lot of laughter.
Get the
our
giggles
home.
a lot, yeah.
Let's get into the first section. We're going to talk about home, because we've talked about a lot of stuff already, and you brought Miquita up as a single mum.
Yeah.
So let's discuss that. That's why you've got this really tight little unit. How difficult were those times?
Very and not. Also, do you know what I mean?
Tell me about
I think
the joyful.
it's interesting actually being a single parent, because I think the external perception is that it's all really rough and tough and difficult all the time. I watched friends of mine with partners, and I remember thinking, Jesus Lord, I'm so glad I've got to deal with
So glad I don't have to pass this by you.
this weird situation, you know what I mean? Somebody else just being a massive pain in the arse, do you know what I mean? So there was that, but then there was also the downside of it was that you can never just hand the baby to someone else and walk out the room or do any of that stuff. So like having a baby young or old, there are upsides and downsides.
Yeah, I think there's this general claustrophobia, but that's also like that team unit feeling as well.
Yeah, and safe.
Everything
and
is
strong,
closer,
and
yes,
you feel powerful at times.
In
like
it
just
together.
Me and her against the world. Not against the world, but in the world.
Yeah, in the world. And as we say now, like when Mum was doing that Fabulous Feast for BBC last year, we did the final episode around West London. And Anita, oh my God, like going back to actual, like the road that we grew up on, we realised. And this is like where we moved when I was 2 and we left when I was 14.
Yeah.
And it's like right in the middle of Portobello, Westbourne Park, Ladbroke Grove, and it's just like I wouldn't change where I grew up for anything.
It was a very
and
special,
at what time with the people.
It was a very special environment at that particular time. There were loads.
West London was popping.
There was so much fun. There were loads of creative people everywhere. We all knew each other. It was like this massive. It wasn't even just a village. It was more like a small town, really, of like young creative people pushing the boundaries with work and with life and with family, and community was powerful and strong. We had that Portobello Road Market, which isn't the same anymore, but it was this incredible kind of central nervous system to that whole area, and I just, that they saved us. We all saved each other repeatedly, day in, day out. It was a really special, quite magical time and
community.
place. It really
You're right.
was.
And not like it is now.
No.
Because it was
people around there used to be like, you'd come out of your house and you couldn't get to the end of the road without 3 people trying to have a chat with you.
It was a different demographic as well, wasn't it? It wasn't.
Somewhat.
We're talking about London's Notting Hill, by the way.
Yeah, exactly.
And yes,
it was very different.
I have read your best mate's memoir, Nana Cherry, and honestly, wow. I mean, she's wow, but Andy, you come out of it like a superhero. Right?
Yeah.
Your mum is like next level.
Yeah, I was so happy to hear that story of their deep love for each other.
Abiding love.
Written by Auntie, like, it's so beautifully.
That book, I'm so proud of her. Her writing is just a dream. I just think it's the most incredible book.
She really honours women throughout it, from her mother to her female friendships to her daughter. Like, the whole thing is about...
It's really powerful.
And it's incredibly vulnerable, incredibly powerful. But it says a lot about you and the world that you grew up in, basically.
Yes, it does.
It gave me an insight into what you're talking about through that.
It's interesting, this idea, isn't it, of generational spirit.
Correct.
That you hand things down and through each other. And I do feel like we are in a long line of powerful women. My mum, my grandma, my great-grandma.
You've brought us handily exactly where I wanted to take it,
great.
which is why you said, Anita, I'm going to preempt your question because I'm on it. And so, because I want to talk about that experience of making the Caribbean together.
Oh, goodness.
I mean, how did... understanding a bit more about who you are, your heritage, your ancestry, how did that impact you? How did it change you?
There was a lot of crying.
Yeah.
You know what's weird? I was waiting for it, and now I know it's such a lesson, but you know when you first learn a lesson, and I was so waiting for it to change me immediately. I was like, I came back, I was listening to what was I listening to? I came back Rasta, basically.
She went native.
I was literally
She went up into the hills with the Rastas. It's like in the films.
And I kind of felt at that point that I was really leaning into a lot of the lessons and the teachings from Rastafarianism.
Go on your own.
And also it was great for me as a broadcaster. I thought my mum was like, you can do this. And I really could. And I was like, thank you for pushing me.
Yeah.
And that's a version of us also working together for the first time in a really proper, deep way.
And to get to make those films was an extraordinary experience. You know, we did our DNA.
Yeah.
That was one of the biggest things I've kind of emotionally gone through in such a short space of time, actually, that DNA testing, because it wasn't just finding out that I'm 38% Nigerian and, all I have not got one drop of Caribbean blood, not one drop. It's all from that coast of Africa, West African blood, right? That's like Mali, Togo, Benin.
We're from the
Nigeria.
West Bantu people.
The West Bantu people, right down that coast. And then they flipped the map around and you could see the journey that the ships took. And for the first time in my life, even though I'd always understood it intellectually, I suddenly felt it so deeply, so emotionally. And I was destroyed for about a day. I couldn't stop crying for about a day and a half or something. And then we went up to the mountains. We were in Barbados. We went up to the mountains to that amazing,
oh my God,
the Ngozi community farm.
So the most amazing thing to do on the day you find all this out.
And we got out, it's run by this Rasta woman. It's an old plantation house. And they've turned it into this organic Rasta farm. She's just extraordinary. Amazing. Her family are beautiful. It's this incredible place. We got out of the van and they were having a drumming circle ceremony. And we got out the van and they all went, "Welcome home." And they were singing these really deep ancient songs. Ooh. And
your foot just went like that.
Yeah, my hair stood on the same.
And we met this woman who was
it's welcome home. Just being told welcome home.
Yeah,
she was a Yoruba priestess.
Yeah, being told welcome home, exactly. And Mum had just... It's so weird as well, because it's like as a Black person, of course, you know that you're from Africa, but you just don't think about it emotionally
in that way.
It's just a sort of academic thing, or anyway.
It's a factual, historical thing, but the actuality of it hit me in the gut. So you're asking how making those films affected us, and it was deep.
So when you come back, Has it changed you?
I think it rooted me differently in myself. It sort of made me, it's expanded my idea about heritage and history and ancestry. And I think that we carry our ancestors with us, and I think they are all powerful. I really, really do. So it's expanded my idea about what that means. And I think before we'd kind of gone, in my head, I'd go back through the Caribbean part of my family, Mama and Granny and all of those people. And then there was like a sort of a nothingness. And now I feel like I've reached into the nothingness and touched hands and feet and bodies with the people that came before.
Wow.
And that is an incredible gift to have.
We want to talk a bit about work.
Yes.
Because obviously both of you are grafters.
Yeah.
We've seen you on our screens. Miquita, I've been watching you since you were a kid. I loved you on T4.
Thanks, Anita.
But work-life balance. Because obviously this is a job where it's not an average job. It's not a 9 to 5. You have to, whatever you put in, you get out. And there's a lot of hard work. So how do you find balance?
I'm not sure I do.
She doesn't. We had to have a really serious conversation last year about time off. And I was just like, why am I begging you to see this? I was like, we haven't had any time off, and everyone else that we work with has had time off. And then suddenly it's got to summer and everyone's gone away and we're still working all summer. This is good that we're doing something we want to do. We're busy. We have a lot of purpose in the work that we're doing. We're not just filming a few things. But I was falling apart, and so were you.
Yeah.
And we were in Scotland filming every day, long days. And I was like, we need to look at this next year so that we have some time booked in. Just like what, and it's crazy that 5 years of intense working for me on my part, it wouldn't have even been thought to be built in. It's like, that's time to make money. It's freelance energy, Anita, you know it.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like trying to get out of that freelancer's brain is a very difficult thing. It's like, it's not even just about saying no. It's like, well, what if this is the last job?
Yes, exactly.
And nothing ever comes. Where does that come from?
Happens again.
Where's that come from? That's
Scarcity. Not traditional, but just a lot of black families.
Yeah, historically, we are taught that you don't. There's no time. No time to what you're doing. What do you mean? This leisure is something for later. Right now, you've got work to do. Do you know what I mean? So it's like that mindset is quite a difficult mindset to change. I do now book an entire month off at Christmas.
Yes,
and how is that?
It's great. And that's quite a big thing for me. And we go on holiday.
Okay, so that's a nice little hack, but you work intensely hard to be able to do that. Most people can't do that.
Yeah.
But the way
I work really hard to be able to do it.
And also, it's a freelancer's life. Are you very organised, both of you?
Yeah, very organised. And sorry, work-life balance. Yeah. I'll take this.
I think about hacks.
I'll take this. Yeah.
Like, how can you?
Hacks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that there is there needs to have a new light shone upon the importance of hobbies. I love sports, and I play a lot of tennis and squash, and I train a lot. But this isn't training. This is sports. Sports are fun. I'm just about to start paddle this year.
What?
Paddle. It's like a squash tennis hybrid.
Have you always been sporty?
Yes.
I was quite sporty.
Mum too, and Nanny.
Well, my family, we are quite. Yeah, my mum was a runner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're quite a kind of, eye-to-hand coordination family.
That's right. And then when I started getting to know my dad's family more in the last 5 years, I've found that my grandpa played a lot of tennis, and my dad plays a lot of sports still now in his 60s. It doesn't have to be sport, but I would say with sport, a lot of people think sport is A, a bit like exercise, or B, for other people.
Yeah.
So like we set up a silly badminton thing it's not silly actually, it's quite serious.
In the garden?
Am I saying?
Love it.
Yeah. But it's like proper net. It's this great contraption. It's not that expensive either. And just playing a little bit, and over the barbecues over the summer and stuff, many of my cousins would be like, I'm not sure. What is that thing called again? I was like, it's badminton. Or another person was like, I'm not good at that. And I said, have you ever played? No.
How do you know you're not good at it?
Right. I think there are millions of people that would enjoy a sports hobby and they just don't know it yet.
How do you fit it in?
I do very early or weekends.
How early is very early?
Like, I keep an hour every day to train, which is between like...
Oh, so you're hardcore.
Yeah.
You're proper.
Which is like between like 7 and 9.
And so you use this...
But if you have to start work at 8, like, it feels pretty good to train before that.
And Miquita, I hear you're a fan of skipping. Tell me about the ropes. How important are the ropes in your life?
Oh, right. Okay. I'm not just a fan of skipping. It changed my life. And I realized it could change other people's lives really quickly and really easily, literally giving them a rope. And
it's quite amazing, actually, when you see people skip, because you don't do it. You don't jump about like that.
You don't jump up and down enough.
It's like, oh my God, this is incredible.
It brings
and
out the
it
child.
Just, this light appears in people's faces. I mean, I just think it's such a beautiful thing.
Yeah. I can't believe I haven't brought it up before, but like that's one of my massive life hacks of happiness is to skip as often as possible. Like as you get older, continue to jump up and down. It's really vital for life.
And we skip when we're little. So why not do it? And it's great skipping as an adult, and it keeps you mega fit.
Yeah.
So you'd give everyone a skipping rope, would you?
I would. Oh my God. Well, yes, quite.
Yes.
Yes. Maybe I will, Anita. Maybe I will.
Good. Now, staying active is one of the best things we can all do for our bodies and minds. This podcast is powered by EE, which helps us keep on track with our fitness goals, whether it's streaming my favourite workout playlist without interruption or using my smartwatch to track every step. EE keeps me connected and moving.
I've started doing, when I'm filming Great British Menu, I get up at like 5 o'clock and do a Peloton class every morning before I go to the studio.
This is good.
Because it's a 2.5 month shoot. And if I don't do that, halfway through it, what?
Well, I mean, just like what's a lot of GBM is eating. So it's like if she just like you have to you have to be careful at GBM.
You have to be careful at GBM.
Eating like rich, luxurious,
made by top chefs.
Yes.
Also, I'm responsible for keeping the energy up.
Yes.
Every single day for all the chefs and the judges and just keeping that train on the road.
So how do you keep your own energy up?
I do a Peloton class every morning.
Excellent.
And I worked with a nutritionist to make sure that I'm looking after my gut health, all of that stuff, because it actually was breaking me down a bit. And I literally was exhausted, I think.
Burnout.
I was not healthy, not well, and I was falling apart a bit. So I went and saw a nutritionist and I was like, right, I need to sort it out, stop drinking. And I just got on.
Yeah, what did they tell you to do?
Well, I had to cut out all sorts of things that didn't work for my body. Loads of vegetables, good proteins.
And I think looking at the gut in a different way rather than a diet.
Yeah, and it's like a holistic way of looking after your body. So instead of just thinking, right, I'm going to go on a diet or I'm going to only do some exercise. Yeah, all the way. Put the right things into your head, your body, your belly and your heart. Your spirit, you know what I mean? So you have to feed every bit of you with good nutrition, whether it's the actual food that's going in or the people that you're around or the places that you go or even what you read, how much social media you take in, all of that stuff.
So, Miquita, you say you're very organised, which is good, on it. Is there a bit of tech or an app that you use that can help people when it comes to work? Is there anything that you use?
Yeah, I mean, we use Notion at the moment.
What's that?
It's amazing. It's kind of like a Teams app because I'm building my company and, we were talking about freelance. I don't want to be freelance the rest of my life. And Notion is where you put all of everything that you're building your company around. So it's like all your research, all your creative, all of your marketing, all of your finances. It's just everything in one place that's really easy to find and to map out. And it means that everyone else can stay inspired. So if anyone is doing something where they work in a team, it means that like people can be at home watching something and be like, oh, that's wicked, I'll send it to Notion. Rather than like, let me remember to WhatsApp that to Miquita for the thing. So everyone has access to it. And
I like the name too, Notion.
Yeah, every time I go, we got the Notion.
See,
I can't do it. We got the Notion. Everyone's like, not every time. Oh, is that what it is? Rock
the boat. It's a great tune. Good summer tune. How about you? Do you use any?
No, I've Kelly.
PA.
who's she's officially my assistant. She's really, she's one of my best friends in the world. I'm not even really allowed to put things in my own diary, Anita, because I am dyscalculic, so I get very confused. Before Kelly started working with me, if I look at a diary, I get very confused with the numbers. I can't. It's like being dyslexic, but numerically. So I can't even see the numbers properly because it gets really overwhelming for me. So I would put things in on the wrong day of the wrong week. Or I would ring and say, I'm on the way, and they'd go, where to? Which was a good one. I once went for dinner with Stanley Tucci a whole month early.
Oh my,
Hang on. Tell me you actually got to go on the...
I did get to go on the real one. It was great. He was very wonderful.
He loves Mum. Mum loves it.
I was just going to say, there needs to be like, obviously it's all like, yes, Sally Tucci. Who wouldn't want to come for lunch with you, Andy?
Oh, we had a great
Lucky
time.
Stanley.
He did say he was lucky. He did like it.
Yeah.
We had
Where
a
did
great
you go?
time.
Where
He
did
was
you-
wonderful and fabulous, and just as you'd want to be charismatic.
What did you eat?
We ate a whole bunch of Italian food. Yeah, it was real posh and real nice, and we had lots of good wine and lots of good food and had a great time.
Wonderful. I'm jealous, but that's okay. Fly on the wall.
No, I'm not organised, but what I'm organised about is the kitchen.
Yes.
Like, so if I've got, dinner for 20, don't even I've got lists, I've got ticks, I've got mise en place, I've got a work schedule, I know exactly what's happening. And in the kitchen, all of that sort of ADHD,
all makes sense.
goes.
Yeah.
And everything slots into place, and I'm like a well-oiled machine.
Probably just see it, can't you? I bet you step into a kitchen and you just know.
I know exactly
crazy,
where it's got to go.
How the mind works.
It's like that thingy mind, that film and all the...
Beautiful
Yeah,
Mind.
Beautiful Mind. That's what happens to be in the kitchen. Outside of the kitchen, my brain is not exactly like that.
But it teaches you that it does have the ability to clear itself in that way.
So I'm much better these days than I used to be when I was more depressed, when I lived, there was a lot more chaos in my life, and my house was chaotic and my life was a reflection of
Is
that.
this when you had your breakdown at 30?
It was before, yes, definitely before and probably after.
I'd say a little bit Southwold Road as well.
Oh, thanks a lot. Thanks
Living
a lot.
in...
Shut up.
No, but just like that thing of I'd never heard you say it like that. Your life mirroring the chaos, like in your
house
head.
mirrors the chaos of your life. Do you know what I mean?
And exactly, and that's.
Can you tell me about it? What happened?
So I just the breakdown.
Yeah.
Oh, so I had
if you're comfortable talking about it.
No, I'm totally happy to talk about it because actually I think it's really helpful to other people to hear it and to know that it's not the end, it's the beginning. Actually, having a nervous breakdown, because all it means and all it meant was that I was divesting myself of all of the things that I was white knuckling, holding on to that I thought helped me survive, and actually they were all the things that were getting in my way.
Yeah.
And my brother had died like 5 years before, and it took me 5 years from him dying. I know that's when the actual fracture began, to reaching 30. He died when I was 25, and by the time I got to 30, I was not able to function. I had a very serious eating disorder. I couldn't sleep for a start, so I was probably also suffering from exhaustion. I was probably clinically depressed. I was really in a very dark place. The first time I saw a therapist, and she said to me, do you call yourself names? Do you? And I thought, how do you know that? How do you know that? I didn't have it. And she said, a lot of people do this. I was like, they do? So, one of the things about depression and having nervous breakdown is you think you're the only person to have ever felt like that. And you think you're the only person that has these destructive thoughts or patterns or behaviors. And the brilliant thing about therapy, the brilliant thing about having an actual breakdown is, and if you get the help that you need, is that you start to understand that this is part of the human condition. And it's something that our psyches do to help us to survive.
Yeah.
Really, that the breakdown is your spirit going, if you don't let go of this stuff now, you're not going to make it.
So how did you slowly, obviously, Andi Miquita, you had a 10-year-old on top of all of this.
I went into residential care.
Goodness.
For people with addiction.
Yeah.
Because eating disorder is addictive behaviour.
Sure.
And I started having therapy, and I'd never had any therapy, and I went in and I just fell apart completely because it was safe. Miquita went to my mum, and my mum looked after Miquita, and I went into residential care. And that 8 weeks started me on a kind of the rest of my life's journey of looking for that kind of physical, spiritual health.
Yeah.
Equilibrium.
I can only imagine a lot of learning. Like when you get to that point in your life.
A lot.
All you can do. Yeah, well done. Like, honestly, just first of all, thank you for talking about it.
I'm happy to talk about it.
But also, I can't imagine what that must have been like for both of you.
It was hard.
Yeah, like what my mum has done with her pain is quite extraordinary because it wasn't quick after even that. And I think that's something you have to also realise with like healing. It takes ages, but probably forever, maybe.
You know, you've got, between the two of you, so much life experience. What habits have you had to teach yourself to keep yourself inspired and on track? Yeah, what have you learned? Let's start there and then we'll...
Yeah. What habits have I learned?
I think it's really important to question yourself. I question my motives all the time, like on a daily basis. Why, especially if someone's annoying me. I'm like, why are you getting so annoyed with this person? What is it that they are reflecting to you that is pissing you off so much? Because it's really important. Like sometimes it's, that irritation you feel with people is because they're reflecting something in yourself that you can't really deal with, and you get like...
Is that what it is?
Yeah,
I question my motives a lot. And that is it's been a very important lesson for me because it just makes you reflect on self, reflect on, whether or not you're stepping towards the kind place, whether or not you're stepping towards the light place. I can't repeat that enough because that lesson in my life has been a general softening of everything for me.
Yeah.
Just be kind.
How about you, Miquita? Like daily habits. What daily habits do you have that kind of just keep you phoning mum?
Well, yeah. I talk to my cousins a lot. I talk to my family a lot. My cousin Phoebe, my cousin Naima, Lily, and there's like a few people that I just like, if I need to feel rooted, I just need to usually see their face.
And you're working with Lily Allen. We're talking about Lily Allen and the brilliant podcast Miss Me, where
thank you.
Well, you're just so frank and you don't shy away from anything. But obviously you've been childhood friends.
Yeah.
And both of you became, again, another miraculous thing, childhood friends who just become amazing women. But she lives in the States. How easy or difficult is it to maintain that long distance relationship?
Well, quite easy now that God, you miss me once a week.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, she's back and forth a lot. But I think it made our relationship grow up. It just makes you think about your roots more because someone's not down the road.
And makes you appreciate each other.
Yeah, but also your need for them. It's like there are parts of me that just needs Lily. What's weird is actually doing Miss Me and it being such a success and people loving it. I mean, it feels so good. I can't even tell you what it feels like to make something that people just have connected to like this. But I still need Lily. Like, we do miss me, but then I still call her like a few more times that day. Because I think that's why Miss Me's successful, because it's real. I need her and she needs me and I love her. I can't tell you what a crazy thing it is to do with your best mate, to do something like this. Because we were thinking the other day, all this time of our lives will be chronicled in this really serious way.
All right, before you leave, I want you both to give me something to add to my bright list, okay? And this is a recommendation from the two of you, and it can be absolutely anything. It can be a film, it can be a bit of tech, it can be a bit of music, or anything in your life that brings brightness and joy. Let's start with you, Miquita.
Are we not bringing the same thing?
Are you bringing the same thing? Okay, bring the same thing.
Well, I thought we were bringing Stevie Wonder.
We are bringing Stevie Wonder.
In all forms.
Or Stevie Wonder in all his glory. In all things Stevie bring joy to your life. Particularly Hotter Than July and Songs in the Key of Life. And, there's a moment in time where we are right now, and love is indeed in need of love today.
Yeah.
And that is one of the tracks on Songs in the Key of Life that changed my life. It's just beautiful, lyrically, passionately, musically, energetically. Stevie is everything.
Yeah.
Just soak up some Stevie.
Talking about the Power of Terrace, like, this is the sound of that time.
Yeah.
As much as it could be, really. The late 80s, early 90s in West London, growing up with a very full house full of so many different kinds of people and just so many jokes, so much jokes and so much love.
Yeah, and Hotter Than July as well. Hotter Than July is it's just like the most joyful record. That actual track, Hotter Than July, is just, as you sing it, when you hear it, you can feel sunshine spilling across your body. It's like that.
No, Anita's sitting on her hands because she knows it so well. You just want to express.
Do you know what it was?
I know it's Stevie for you.
I'm just sitting here thinking, thank you for bringing Stevie to the Bright List. Thank the two of you for coming to the Bright List. Yes.
Thank you.
I'm not finished. I've got hours more.
What's next? Stanley Tucci is can come. He doesn't have to, but the three of us need to be there. He's an additional, extra, optional. What's next? What's coming up?
I'm doing chef collaborations all this year. Abby Shashidara, Angela Hartnett, Akwasi Breya Mensah. just chefs that I really, really love and love to cook with. And that's really exciting too.
That's massive. Thank you.
Thank you.
And should we just do a little... That's it for another episode of Bright Ideas with me, Anita Rani, brought to you by EE. Please join me next time for more insightful and authentic everyday ways to help inspire us all to live a little brighter. And if you want to hear more about EE's bright tech ideas to help make everyday life that little bit easier, visit telegraph.co.uk/smartlife. There's lots of smart advice, from setting up parental controls to keep your kids safe online, to making sure you never run out of data when you need it most. So, until next time.